Well, we're shining tonight's spotlight on the future of education and how AI is entering the classroom.
About this new industry called AI factories and artificial intelligence. And obviously, we're at the beginning of a new industrial revolution.
But with generative AI, it's really supercharging what healthcare professionals and scientists are able to do by helping predict future health risks.
Half of all the new demand for electricity over the next 5 years in the U.S. is expected to come from data centers.
And what it takes is energy and, of course, a lot of great computer science and large computing systems.
By 2028, we are expecting to double or possibly even triple the amount of energy that's going towards data centers.
Today I am making 4 predictions of how the world will look like in the next 5 years. And no, this is not another job video which will tell you which jobs will go away and which new jobs will come. This is about how human life fundamentally changes. How does money work? How would education work? How companies will work? And ultimately, what humans will do with their time. I have studied every major technological revolution, be it the printing press, electricity, industrial revolution, or the internet, and I have analyzed 50 plus startups to understand where is the AI going, and I have arrived at 4 predictions. Number 1. Money will be backed by energy. Not gold, not even government's faith. Energy will be the single most important resource on the planet. More important than gold and oil combined. Even more important than money itself. Number 2. AI will think autonomously, on its own. It will make scientific discoveries which will expand human lifespan from 70 years to 150 years. Third, education system will flip upside down. Students will be asked to question the answer, not answer the questions. And the fourth, and this is already happening, execution will be accessible to everyone. The similar way printing press made thinking accessible to everyone, AI will make doing accessible to everyone. Everyone will be able to build anything they want. And eventually, currencies will have to be backed by energy. In most of the history, money was backed by something, mostly gold. Open your bank balance and look at it. What is it really? It's just a number. If you tomorrow go to Mars, it doesn't work there. So why does it work here? It works because of the trust. You trust the government backing the currency that it will not collapse tomorrow. You trust that if you transfer it to a shopkeeper, he will give you something in the return. Maybe food, coffee, whatever. The whole thing runs on faith and trust. Now, this wasn't always the case. Till 1971, money was backed by real gold. You could literally walk into any bank, pay $35 and get 1 ounce of gold. Every dollar had gold sitting behind it. Then in 1971, US President Nixon said, "We are done with that. We are no more doing that." And he removed the gold backing from the dollar. It's called Nixon shock.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets.
The whole world moved to what is now called fiat currency. Fiat basically means faith. So the number you see in your bank balance is backed by the faith that the country's economy will keep on producing things of value. But what actually produces economic value? That's people, the human labor. We go to work, we produce stuff. That is what gives currency its strength. Money went from being backed by gold to being backed by human productivity, by our labor. Now think about this. If AI starts doing most of the human work, the country's economic value will be driven by how much AI it can run, not how many humans it has or how hard they work. And to run that kind of AI, a country would need lots and lots of energy. When AI replaces human labor, money will be backed by the country's ability to power its AI. Hence, money will be really backed by the energy. And unlike gold, which, if you think about it, doesn't really do anything, it's just a shiny metal, it has no intrinsic value. But energy has real intrinsic value. Everything in the universe runs on energy. Our bodies, our phones, the car, even the sun, everything has energy. It is the most fundamental thing in the universe. In 2024, US data centers alone consumed 183 terawatt hours of electricity. That's roughly equal to the electricity consumption of whole of the Pakistan. The point is, AI will need lots of energy. We know Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. He's not just building frontier AI models. He's been investing in a nuclear fusion company called Helion Energy since 2015. He first led $500 million funding round, then another $425 million. And now, OpenAI is in talks to buy 50 gigawatts of energy from Helion by 2035. 50 gigawatts. That's the power output of a mid-sized country. The CEO of an AI company is trying to secure an entire country's worth of energy. That tells you where this is going. Whoever figures out energy at scale, be it nuclear, fusion, solar, they basically control the AI era. And whoever controls the AI era ultimately controls the money. The second prediction: AI will expand our lifespan. And when it happens, it would be insane. As of now, AI is only retrieving the information it's being trained on and guessing the next word. In next 5 years, AI will be able to think autonomously, on its own. The way scientists think, the way Newton thought, the way Einstein has thought. It will think of thoughts that are literally impossible for a human brain to think of. Let me explain what I mean. Your brain, my brain, or the Einstein's or the Newton's brain, the smartest brain that has ever existed on the planet, can hold about 4 things at once in the mind. Just 4 things. The brain can process conscious thoughts at about 10 bits per second. That's it. That's our ceiling. No matter how smart you are or no matter how much you study, you cannot break through this hardware limit. But AI doesn't have that limit. AI can look at every protein, every cellular process, every structure all at the same time. AlphaFold proved that this works. It solved 200 million protein structures that humans couldn't crack in 50 years. Now imagine that same approach pointed towards aging, Alzheimer's, cancers, heart disease and whatnot. So in the next 5 years, AI will make enough scientific discoveries for us to understand how cells works, how damage accumulates and how to reverse it. And we will seriously able to increase our lifespan, not from 70 to 72 years, but maybe 150 years. Now that may sound crazy, but if you told someone in 1920s that we'd go from an average lifespan of 40 years to 70 years in just 100 years, just through antibiotics, sanitation and vaccines, they would have said that's crazy too. The difference now is that AI can compress 100 years of discovery into 1 year's compute. Alright, next one is education. Our education system will flip completely upside down. And to tell you why, I need to tell you a story. A story of where schools came from. It was 1806. The Prussian army, which is modern day Germany, has been just absolutely destroyed by Napoleon's army in the Battle of Jena. Completely humiliated. The Prussians were one of the finest army in the Europe at that time, and Napoleon tore through them. The Prussian leaders were devastated. They sat down and asked, why did this happen? Where did it go wrong? Why our soldiers were not obedient? And they came up with a radical idea. They said that we need to fix this from the childhood. We need to build a system that produces obedient soldiers and efficient factory workers. A system where people follow instructions religiously, memorize what they are told, and never questions the system. So in 1808, they designed what we now call schools. You know why schools have those bells which rings every 40 minutes? It's from the military barracks. The bells told the soldiers when to wake up, when to eat, when to train, and when to go to sleep. So they took that and put it in the schools. These standardized exams were first created in Prussia, not for students, for selecting military officers. They needed a way to rank people quickly and put them in the right positions. This whole system was designed from scratch to produce people who can memorize well, follow processes, and do things fast. Memory, process, and speed. That's what school optimizes for. What are the 3 things AI does definitely better than any human? Memory, process, and speed. We have been training children for 16 years to now compete with the AI, which will always beat them. So what does education become? For students, instead of asking what is the GDP of France, which by the way AI answers in the seconds, question becomes, here is the AI generated data of the France economy. What are the questions you will ask to the AI? That's what students will be evaluated on. Students will be asked to question the answer, not answer the question. And to ask the right questions, students will need to learn the first principles thinking. Stay with me, I'll explain this very simply. Most people approach the problem by looking at what somebody else is doing. Let me give you an example. OpenAI spent billions of dollars training their AI model GPT-4. When this happened, the whole AI industry looked at and said, okay, so this is what it takes to train a frontier AI model. billions of dollars. That's the price of entry. But first principles thinking is different. You strip down the problem to the most basic fundamental truths, the things that are definitely true, and you build your answer from bottoms up, which was done by DeepSeek. A Chinese AI company asked the most basic questions like how much brain power the model needs for every task, how much data is actually sufficient to train an AI model, and they built an AI model way better than OpenAI at just the fraction of the cost. That's the skill that matters in an AI world, not knowing the answer. AI has all the answers, but knowing which questions to ask, knowing when something is off, and this will be taught in schools. Lastly, as we had Internet of Things, we would have AI of Things. Everything will have intelligence. Your fridge, your clothes, plants in your home, whatnot, everything will have intelligence. We had this with internet. When internet became accessible to everyone, we had internet in TV, watches, billboards, and everything we could see around us. So with every technological revolution, something which was only accessible to few people becomes accessible to general public. Until there was a concept of books, thinking was only accessible to few people who are sitting in the monasteries. But with printing press, thinking became accessible to the general public. Similar way, with AI, doing is becoming accessible to everyone. With AI, intelligence would be everywhere, and so execution would be accessible to everyone. But why I am saying this? Because there is a concept in economics which is called Jevons paradox. In 1865, a British economist named William Jevons noticed something strange. Coal engines in England were getting more efficient every year. You would think, oh great, we'll use less coal now. But the opposite happened. England used 10 times more coal. Because when coal can be used for everything, it was indeed used for everything. Trains, ships, factories. Same exact thing happened in India with Jio. Remember when Jio launched in 2016 and made mobile internet almost free? Did Indians use less data? We went from 200 MB per month per person to 25 GB. We didn't start reading books. We were binging YouTube 5 hours a day. Now apply this concept of Jevons paradox to intelligence. When cost of thinking, building and creating drops to virtually zero, we won't use less of it. We'll use intelligence for everything. Let's get ready for what's coming up next. See you in the next one.